They talk too much, post too much, feel too much. They crave attention like oxygen, addicted to applause, allergic to introspection. They sell every piece of themselves for digital claps, thinking exposure makes them powerful. But what they don't understand is this: the man who reveals nothing cannot be manipulated. The man who vanishes becomes myth, and myth terrifies. They think power is being seen. They're wrong. Power is being felt without ever needing to appear. You don't become dominant by being loud. You become dominant by being precise, focused, unavailable. While they parade their insecurities disguised as authenticity, you will study, train, and sharpen quietly. You don't leak energy. You don't seek validation. You don't explain. You build. Machiavelli taught that it's not the sword that wins wars, it's the strategy behind it. Self-focus is that strategy. It's the weapon that builds silent, unshakable power, not the fake kind that posts quotes and reels. The real kind, rooted in discipline, forged in isolation, and fueled by purpose. You step back, not because you're weak, but because you're about to strike harder than they ever imagined. Let them underestimate your silence. Let them think you're passive. You're not. You're plotting, refining, becoming cold steel in human form. No one sees you coming until it's too late. Comment this if you're stepping into that mindset. I build silently. I strike once. This is Psych-Rhythm, where noise dies and the mind becomes a weapon. Stay locked in. Number 1, the art of withholding. Power isn't just what you give, it's what you withhold. Control begins the moment you stop explaining yourself. You think silence is weakness. Silence is precision. A man who speaks too quickly gives away his leverage. A man who reacts too easily gives away his control. But a man who withholds, that man is feared. They want you to respond. They bait you with opinions, guilt, false urgency, drama. All of it is engineered to pull you out of your frame, to make you predictable, emotional, exposed. Every reaction is a transaction, and you're paying with your power. But you're not like them. You are not available on demand. You don't owe them your energy. You don't owe them your truth. Your silence is your armor. Your mystery is your weapon. When they can't read you, they can't use you. When they can't provoke you, they can't control you. Machiavelli understood that appearances are tools, but restraint is strategy. He wrote, "A wise man does at once what a fool does finally." Fools react. Wise men wait. Withholding isn't avoidance, it's warfare. Every moment you stay still, they reveal themselves. Every second you withhold, you become harder to predict and impossible to manipulate. They'll accuse you of being distant, cold, disconnected. Let them. That's the tax of self-mastery. You're not here to be understood. You're here to dominate your mind, your focus, your time. You are building a weapon. And weapons don't apologize for not being soft. The world doesn't need another loud, impulsive man. It needs one more who is unreadable, unshakable, unreachable by nonsense. Remember, what you do not say holds more power than what you do. Comment this if you move in silence. My silence is strategy. My absence is preparation. Number 2, burn the need to be understood. You want to evolve, then burn this weakness to the ground. The need to be understood. It's emotional slavery, a leash around your mind. The minute you seek understanding from the world, you hand it the power to define you or destroy you. The truth. Most people don't understand themselves. So what makes you think they'll ever understand someone building silently in the shadows? Someone who chooses purpose over popularity, silence over noise, control over comfort. They'll call you cold, arrogant, detached. Let them. That's the price of freedom. They need you to be emotional because emotions are predictable. But when you kill the need to be seen, pitied, or validated, you become terrifyingly free. You become untouchable. Machiavelli said it best. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But here's the deeper layer. Being feared isn't about violence, it's about unavailability. The man who does not beg to be understood operates on his own frequency. And that makes people nervous because they can't access him, can't decode him, can't control him. Let them misunderstand you, let them talk. Your silence, your restraint, your refusal to perform, all of it sends a louder message than words ever could. You're not here to explain, you're here to execute. Detach from the need to be liked. Detach from the urge to convince. Stop seeking closure, stop seeking clarity. Seek only strength, clarity of mind, and tactical dominance over your own behavior. Every time you're tempted to defend yourself, don't. Every time you want to be seen, don't. Channel it inward. Use that fire to build, because one day they'll come looking for explanations, and all they'll find is the empire you built without them. Number 3, build in obscurity, attack in clarity. Real power doesn't announce itself. It arrives, precise, unapologetic, and devastating. You don't build an empire in the spotlight, you build it in the shadows. Obscurity isn't a setback. It's the greatest position of power for the man who understands timing. While they seek visibility, you seek leverage. While they expose their blueprints, you become the architect of quiet domination. Most men reveal too much too soon. They show the plan, they talk the dream, they scream about goals they haven't earned. That's not confidence, that's desperation in disguise. And desperate men are easy to read, easy to track, easy to break. But you build differently. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves." Obscurity makes you the fox. Clarity, at the right moment, makes you the lion. Never confuse the two. You build in silence, not because you're weak, but because you're watching, calculating, waiting for your moment to strike with absolute clarity and zero wasted motion. Every hour in the dark is a deposit into your future dominance. Every ignored invitation, every missed party, every unanswered message, it all compounds. When your moment comes and you step out of the shadows, they won't know how to process you. You'll look like you came out of nowhere, but you didn't. You came from discipline, from stillness, from hell. You don't move for attention, you move with intention. And when you strike clean. No noise, no announcements, no explanations, just results that speak in a language only the focused can understand. Your job isn't to prove, your job is to prepare, to become a figure so calculated that when you move, everything else pauses. That kind of dominance doesn't come from being loud, it comes from becoming undeniable. So stop announcing, stop warning, stop letting people in on your timing, stop diluting your ambition with commentary. Build alone, move smart, attack only when it counts, and when you do, make sure it's so clear, so precise, that no one dares challenge you again. Comment this if you're ready to move like a shadow and strike like steel. Obscurity is my ally. Precision is my weapon. Number 4. Control the frame, control the field. There's a rule they don't teach you in school, and the weak never understand. He who controls the frame controls the field. Every room you walk into, there's a psychological battlefield unfolding, a silent war for dominance. Most people walk in trying to fit, trying to please, trying to belong. That's prey behavior. A man locked into himself doesn't chase alignment. He becomes the gravitational force that others revolve around. The frame is the mental reality you operate from. It's your inner rulebook, the unspoken laws that dictate how you interpret the world and how the world responds to you. And here's the brutal truth. If you don't assert your frame, someone else will force theirs on you. Machiavelli knew this. He warned against being too agreeable, too eager to adapt, too fast to comply. Because when you surrender your frame, you surrender control. And when you lose control, you lose power. Often, without even realizing it, imagine two men in a negotiation. One walks in calm, quiet, deliberate. He sets the pace, he sets the tone, he speaks last. The other rushes to impress, laughs too quickly, explains too much. That's how you spot the weak. They fold their frame before the conversation even starts. But the one who holds his frame holds the leash. Every interaction is a test. Every room is a game of psychological chess. Do you rush to fill silence? Do you laugh to ease tension? Do you over-explain yourself? Every one of those habits is a leak, and leaks get exploited. You have to walk in knowing that you decide the temperature. You set the rhythm. Your internal world becomes the dominant lens through which others begin to see reality, not because you force it, but because you own it so deeply they subconsciously submit to it. This is why self-focus matters, because you cannot hold a powerful frame unless your mind is fortified, unless your values are bulletproof, unless your emotions are disciplined. The man with no center is a slave to whoever speaks loudest. But the man who has trained his mind, killed his need to be liked, built in silence, and moved with purpose, that man enters the room with quiet authority. He doesn't need to talk over people. He lets the tension do the talking. He doesn't need to fight for position. His presence announces it. And if his frame is challenged, he doesn't flinch. He simply holds. You want power? Start with your frame. Hold it in conflict. Hold it in chaos. Hold it when others panic. Because the moment they adopt your frame, even slightly, you've already won. Number 5, master emotional invisibility. Weakness has a scent, and the quickest way to expose yours is to let them see what moves you. The man who can't control his face is already defeated. The man who reacts too quickly, too emotionally, too transparently, has no protection. He walks into the world emotionally naked, hoping people will treat him gently. They won't, they never have, and they never will. Emotional invisibility is a discipline, a weapon, a mask, forged through fire, silence, and repetition, not to suppress what you feel, but to control who gets access to it. You see, the world isn't fair. It doesn't reward emotional openness. It exploits it. In business, in relationships, in war, your emotions are intelligence. The more predictable you are, the more manipulatable you become. You cry too easily, they'll play on your pity. You anger too fast, they'll bait you into foolishness. You seek sympathy, they'll see it as leverage. And Machiavelli, he warned us plainly. A prince must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. The fox wears masks. The lion only roars when it counts. Together they are invisible until necessary, and unstoppable when revealed. You must master the poker face of power. Never show when you're hurt, never show when you're stressed. Don't react, don't flinch. If they can read you, they can trap you. Emotional invisibility is not indifference, it's discipline. You feel everything, but you broadcast nothing. This isn't about becoming robotic, it's about becoming strategic, stoic, calculated, cold under pressure, because power belongs to the man who feels the storm and never blinks. They want you emotional, they want you reactive, because emotion is vulnerability disguised as authenticity. But you are no longer here to be emotionally available. You are not a mirror for other people's projections. You are a wall, calm, measured, unreadable. You ever notice how the most dangerous men in history rarely raised their voice? That's not an accident. When your emotions are contained, your movements become precise. You don't waste punches. You don't swing wild. You wait, observe, and strike at the exact moment they don't expect it. In a world bleeding emotion, the emotionally invisible man is a ghost, and ghosts can't be hit. Start practicing silence when disrespected, detachment when tested, stillness when baited. Learn to hold the tension in your chest without leaking it from your eyes. That is power. That is emotional sovereignty. That is how you rise above the chaos while others drown in it. This is mental warfare. This is psychological warfare. And your emotions are both your sword and your shield, if you can keep them sheathed until the exact moment of impact. They'll say, "You've changed, you've become cold, distant, hard, let them." That's the tax of leveling up. That's the price of building an inner world too powerful for emotional parasites to access. So, kill the reflex to react, starve the urge to be seen, and instead, build a mind that absorbs chaos and gives back nothing. Comment this if you're ready to become untouchable. I feel everything, I show nothing, I remain in control. This is psychorhythm, and this is where your emotional power becomes psychological dominance. Number 6, energy is a currency. Spend nothing on the unworthy. Energy is currency, not a metaphor, not a slogan, a fact. And just like real currency, your energy must be protected, rationed, invested, or you'll go broke without ever realizing how. Every message you answer, every pointless argument you enter, every time you let someone who hasn't earned your attention pull you into their mental chaos, you're spending energy. And the world is full of emotional beggars looking for men like you to finance their dysfunction. Most men never realize this until it's too late. They wake up drained, distracted, angry, reactive. They think it's burnout. It's not. It's leakage, power leakage. And it happens because they treat their energy like it's infinite. It's not. You only get so much per day, and most men are hemorrhaging it on nonsense, gossip, low-value people, petty confrontations, social media algorithms, unresolved emotions, death by 1,000 energetic cuts. Machiavelli would have called these men fools, not because they feel, but because they spend their emotional capital recklessly and then wonder why they can't build empires. He who neglects what is done for what ought to be done sooner effects his ruin than his preservation. That's Machiavelli's way of saying, face reality. Don't act like you have unlimited capacity. You don't. Real men audit themselves, coldly, ruthlessly. Real men know that focus is more expensive than money, and distractions are more dangerous than enemies. You need to understand this at the core of your being. Energy is power, and power must not be given. It must be earned. Every time you respond to someone who hasn't earned your time. Every time you give attention to a situation beneath your purpose. Every time you explain yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. You've already lost, not because you're wrong, but because you allowed yourself to be pulled off mission. Do you know what kings don't do? Argue, explain, chase, repeat themselves. Kings sit. Kings observe. Kings choose when, where, and how to act, with surgical precision. And they don't let peasants into the war room. So who drains you? Who do you feel exhausted after talking to? What situations, platforms, conversations, relationships leave you feeling mentally bankrupt? These are leaks. Fix them or drown. You want to become powerful. Start treating your energy like a high-level investment portfolio. Don't give it to liabilities. Cut emotional dead weight. Cut passive-aggressive friends. Cut the habit of scrolling yourself into mental clutter. Cut the woman who only calls when she's bored. Cut the environments that pull you into low-frequency mindsets. Because here's the harsh truth. If they don't multiply your focus, they are subtracting from it. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your energy. Not your friends, not your family, not your partner, not even your past self, especially not your past self. The old you may have had the energy to give without return. The new you, he's focused on building, on protecting the kingdom, on becoming sovereign. There's a reason elite men are distant. There's a reason their presence feels heavy. It's because they've stripped away all the noise. And now they move like assassins. Silent, focused, lethal. This is where cold psychology meets real-world strategy. The less accessible you are, the more powerful you become. You don't chase energy, you become the source of it. You don't react to emotional games, you walk away like they never existed. You don't get baited into drama, you cut it at the root with absence. That absence, it's louder than any insult. It's more devastating than retaliation. It tells the world, my time is not yours to access. My energy is not your playground. My attention is earned, not inherited. And that mindset, that standard, will cost you people. Let it. If the price of inner peace is losing those who feed off your chaos, pay it twice. Because your loyalty is to your mission now, not to comfort, not to approval, and definitely not to guilt. You can't reach greatness if you're still handing out pieces of yourself to anyone who asks. That's not strength, that's availability. And availability is the enemy of power. There's a reason lions don't flinch at barking dogs. The lion is focused on the hunt. His energy is calculated. Every breath, every glance, every roar has purpose. He doesn't waste it proving he's a lion. He just is. Be that. Be the one who shows restraint so cold it becomes feared. Be the one who walks away from conflict because his presence is too expensive to be spent in cheap situations. Be the one who protects his peace like a throne, because it is. From now on, treat your energy like your blood. Lose too much, and your vision dies. Comment this if you understand the cost of leaking power. My energy is elite. My focus is currency. My presence is earned. Say it again. Mean it this time. My energy is elite. My focus is currency. My presence is earned. Number 8, become unreachable. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Title: Self-focus is a weapon that builds silent power. Machiavelli's coldest lesson on mental dominance. If you want to become truly untouchable, truly feared, respected, and unshakably composed, then master this principle. Become unreachable, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Not because you're scared, not because you're avoiding pain, but because you finally understand what's worth your access and what is not. We live in a world where everyone thinks they're entitled to a piece of you. Your time, your attention, your emotions, your energy. And most men give it all away. Cheap, fast, mindlessly. They bleed themselves out trying to be understood, to be liked, to be seen. And what does it get them? Exhausted, disrespected, weak, exposed. Let this burn into your psyche. You are not a vending machine for validation. You are a fortress. Being unreachable means you stop letting the world pull you into low-frequency exchanges. No more explaining yourself to the blind. No more giving emotion to fools. No more negotiating with people who have nothing to lose. No more bleeding out your inner power for those who only want to feed on it. Let's break it down. 1. Emotional unreachability. This is the front line of your power, the most obvious and the most violated. Weak men wear their hearts on their sleeves. They're easily triggered, emotionally baited, reactive. One insult ruins their day. One cold stare throws off their focus. One disapproval has them questioning their worth. That is not power, that is emotional slavery. Machiavelli warned us, the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Let's evolve that. The first method for estimating the strength of a man is how little he reacts to weak men. You must become the kind of man who is never baited, who hears the insult but doesn't flinch, who sees the trap but doesn't even acknowledge it, who knows his value so deeply that external validation becomes meaningless noise. Emotional unreachability means your feelings are private property. Not everyone gets to know when you're hurt. Not everyone deserves to see your disappointment. You feel everything, but you reveal nothing. Practice this. When someone provokes you, go still. Breathe, hold, don't reply, don't explain. Let them drown in your silence. This makes you dangerous because the world can't manipulate what it can't read. 2. Mental unreachability. Most people are mentally colonized. Their beliefs are second-hand. Their thoughts are reactions. Their opinions are formed by trends, algorithms, and public opinion. That is mental slavery. But when you become mentally unreachable, you become a sovereign thinker. Your mind becomes its own territory, and no one gets to invade it. You must become unshakable in your philosophy, but flexible in your tactics. You hold the frame, you hold the pace, you hold the power, not because you dominate others directly, but because you do not allow them to dominate your mind. They can't shake your beliefs. They can't infect you with fear. They can't rush you, corner you, pressure you because your frame is set. Not because you're rigid, but because you're rooted. This is why self-focus is key. A man who spends time with his own thoughts becomes dangerous. He doesn't need agreement. He doesn't need external permission to move. He's already moved internally, and the rest is just execution. This is how you become unreadable, unshakable, and unavailable for manipulation. 3. Spiritual unreachability. This is the most elite level of personal power. This is when your inner center cannot be touched, no matter what chaos surrounds you. spiritual unreachability has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with sovereignty of the soul. It's the deep calm you build through discipline, through solitude, through trials. You've been betrayed and you didn't break. You've been alone and you didn't beg. You've lost everything and built again from nothing. That's spiritual dominance. You've stared into the void and didn't flinch. You've suffered without becoming a victim. You've been doubted and didn't shrink. People can feel it when you reach this level. They stop challenging you, not because you intimidate them overtly, but because you don't give them an in. You give them no emotional target, no mental opening, no spiritual gap. Your presence becomes heavy, your silence calculated, your standards uncompromising. You don't beg, you don't break, you don't chase peace. You embody it. And that embodiment is rare, which is why the world will either try to break it or orbit around it. Why this makes you untouchable. You become unpredictable because they can't read your emotional weather. You become uncontrollable because they can't manipulate your thoughts. You become undefeatable because even in pain, you refuse to leak power. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care deeply, but selectively. You are a fortress with locked gates, not a tent with flapping walls. Those who deserve your energy get it. Everyone else, blocked at the gates. This is how men used to be trained. Hard, stoic, focused, quiet. Their strength was built in discipline, not applause. Their presence came from silence, not screaming. Their worth was self-defined, not crowd-approved. We've lost that. But now you reclaim it. Practical execution. Audit your inputs. Who do you let speak into your emotions? Cut most of them. Practice non-reaction. When triggered, respond with stillness. Walk away, smile, say nothing. Build solitude rituals. No phone, no noise, just clarity. Write your personal philosophy, your inner code. Read it daily. Stop explaining. Start observing. Speak only when it shifts the outcome. This is how cold power is forged, in silence, in detachment, in sovereignty. Let them talk, let them gossip, let them think you're distant, arrogant, too serious. Let them say what they want, because while they waste energy trying to get a response, you're building in stillness, refining in silence, becoming something they'll never touch. Comment this below if you're ready to elevate beyond access. I am emotionally still, mentally fortified, spiritually untouchable. Say it like a code. Say it like a weapon. I am emotionally still, mentally fortified, spiritually untouchable. Number 8. Time is your ultimate weapon. Use it like a king, not a slave. Time is not neutral. It is not passive. Time is the sharpest blade you'll ever hold, and most men are cutting their own throats with it. Every second that passes is a decision, a declaration, a transaction between the man you are and the man you're becoming. And while kings use that time to build, to train, to multiply power, slaves spend it, kill it, waste it. Then they ask why their life feels small, scattered, and forgettable. They scroll endlessly, absorb garbage, react emotionally, get pulled into conversations that do nothing but leak energy. And then they wonder why they wake up tired, directionless, angry at nothing. The answer is right there. Time has been stolen from them. Not in a dramatic heist, but in 1,000 quiet moments of distraction, compromise, and emotional availability. Death by 1,000 open tabs. The modern world is designed to make you forget what time really is, your most limited and lethal asset. Your day is under siege. Every app, every algorithm, every weak person in your circle is clawing for a piece of you. The war isn't coming, you're already in it. And if you haven't realized that, you've already lost, because the man who doesn't protect his time cannot protect anything else. Not his vision, not his discipline, not even his mind. Machiavelli once wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." That single sentence should tattoo itself onto your consciousness. The king moves first. He doesn't wait to feel ready. He doesn't drift with the tides. He doesn't ask for permission or wait for alignment from the crowd. He prepares in silence while the world distracts itself to death. But the same king also knows the power of patience, because time is a sword, but also a shield. He acts with ruthless speed in preparation and with brutal precision in execution. That's the paradox of power. You must move fast when no one sees you, and slowly when everyone's watching. If they can predict your timing, they can control you. But when your rhythm is self-directed, your tempo becomes intimidating. When you master time, you master presence. And when you master presence, the world begins to orbit you without understanding why. Most men are slaves to time. They rush through the day like they're running from a fire, mistaking chaos for productivity. They confuse motion with power. They live by the clock, but never command it. They're so busy, yet never effective. They're available to everyone, but loyal to nothing. Every alert gets a response. Every distraction becomes an emergency. Every plan is vulnerable to interruption. Their calendars are cluttered. Their minds are unfocused. Their lives are undisciplined. And they call that normal. But you will not be that man. You will treat time as royalty. No longer something you find, but something you command. You will stop letting other people's urgency define your actions. You will build structure so tight that every hour you breathe serves the empire you're building. You will rise early, not because it's trendy, but because you control the first hour, and the man who controls his morning controls his frame. You will enter your days like a general, not a civilian, with targets, with direction, with locked-in presence. The calendar becomes your weapon. Every block of time is sharpened with intention. Every minute has meaning, or it dies. Time is also a psychological weapon. When you delay a response, you shift power. When you take your time, you slow the frame. When you're calm in chaos, the room adjusts to your rhythm. Most people are terrified of silence. They answer instantly. They fear being left on red. They try to prove they're always accessible. You will do the opposite. You will delay. You will breathe. You will pause before speaking. You will become rare, not out of arrogance, but because you've made yourself valuable. You will no longer announce every move. You will execute in silence and let the results echo. That's how time becomes your ally. It stops working against you and starts working for you. Don't be afraid to make people wait. In fact, start making that a rule. Your time is earned, not assumed. Stop being instantly reachable. Stop overscheduling. Stop saying yes to things that don't build you. Start saying no with cold clarity. Let the world adjust, and if they don't, let them leave. Better to walk alone in control than surrounded in chaos. You are not here to respond to every message. You are not here to be in 10 places at once. You are not here to justify your time to anyone. Kings do not chase appointments. Kings do not run to their phones. Kings do not explain why they're unavailable. They simply are. And that absence, that delay, that restraint creates gravity. Your time should feel expensive. Your presence should feel earned. Your pace should never be rushed. That's what separates those who build kingdoms from those who clap from the crowd. You must eliminate false urgency from your life. Most emergencies are just poor planning from someone else. Most deadlines are artificial. Most requests are emotional manipulation wrapped in politeness. You must learn to pause, to breathe, to ask, is this aligned with my path? Or is this someone dragging me off course? If the answer isn't power, it's noise. Starve it. The most dangerous man is the one who owns his time so completely he becomes unpredictable, unavailable, unbothered. He's not late, he's not early, he's right on time, his time, and no one else gets a vote. If this is the man you're becoming, the man who no longer leaks hours on the meaningless, comment this below and burn it into your frame. My time is royal, my life is by design, my pace is power. Say it again. Say it like a law, like a standard. My time is royal, my life is by design, my pace is power. Number 9. The final evolution. Walk alone until they whisper your name. This is where the noise dies. This is where the transformation completes. This is where you become something they can no longer recognize, but can never ignore. This is the final evolution, the moment you walk alone. not because you were pushed out, but because you outgrew everything around you. There comes a point in every serious man's life where solitude becomes necessary, not trendy, not poetic, necessary, not because you're antisocial, but because everything around you has become too loud, too weak, too compromised, and you've reached a place where you can't move forward unless you first detach from the crowd, from the approval loop, from the false sense of urgency that surrounds you. You don't walk alone because you hate people. You walk alone because you refuse to be average. You refuse to waste what you've built, what you've learned, what you've endured, on a world that has no idea what discipline looks like anymore. You've killed the need for attention. You've outgrown the urge to explain. You've buried the boy who wanted to be understood. You've traded validation for vision, emotion for structure, popularity for power. You walk alone now, not because you're broken, but because you've become whole. Solitude becomes your forge, the silence, your workshop, the absence of opinions, your freedom. There is no longer a committee voting on your identity, no longer a crowd directing your worth. You define that now. You sharpen yourself without applause. You bleed without broadcast. You suffer in silence and rebuild in shadows. You've become your own army, and no one sees the war you fight because real strength isn't displayed. It's felt. Most people don't make it this far. They need too much. They need validation, companionship, noise, sympathy. They're terrified of their own mind. The silence eats them. But not you. You sit in it. You eat in it. You train in it. You study in it. You evolve in it. And in that silence, something monstrous begins to emerge. Not chaos, but control. Not rage, but restraint. Not desperation, but direction. You start to realize there is no one coming to save you, and that is not a tragedy. It is freedom, because now everything is yours. Every win, every loss, every scar, every breakthrough, all of it belongs to you, and you wouldn't trade that for anything. You begin to move differently. You no longer entertain arguments. You no longer chase people who flake. You no longer feel the need to explain your silence or your ambition or your standards. You let people misunderstand you. You let them gossip. You let them fall away. And in that letting go, you gain everything. Your attention becomes a weapon. Your presence becomes currency. Your time becomes gold. And you stop giving discounts. You stop handing yourself out like free samples. You become expensive, not in ego, but in value. You become hard to access, not because you're rude, but because you finally understand what it cost to build this version of yourself. And not everyone has earned the right to witness it. Let them talk, let them whisper, let them speculate. While they scroll, you study. While they party, you plan. While they seek comfort, you embrace the cold. You disappear, and when you return, you're unrecognizable. Sharper, harder, colder, cleaner, more precise than you've ever been. And they don't know how to place you anymore because you're no longer operating from the same frequency. You've transcended the old roles, the old versions, the old insecurities. You no longer react to what doesn't deserve you. You no longer chase what doesn't build you. You no longer seek what doesn't align with your code. And people feel it, even in your silence, even in your absence, especially in your absence. And then it happens, quietly, slowly, reluctantly at first, then all at once. They begin to whisper your name, not because you begged, not because you shouted, but because the results started to speak in a language they couldn't ignore. The silence started to echo. The presence you left behind created a void they couldn't fill. Your distance became a signal. Your absence became pressure. They see your discipline. They see your glow. They see the precision in your moves, the clarity in your decisions, the steel in your posture. And they start to remember every time they overlooked you, every time they underestimated you, every time they confused your silence for weakness. But you don't go back. You don't seek revenge. You don't explain the process. You don't finally speak up. You stay silent, because a lion doesn't need to roar to prove he's dangerous. A storm doesn't announce itself. It simply arrives. You keep walking, alone, clear, unapologetic. You become the standard, and those who once ignored you now orbit you. Those who once questioned you now quote you. Those who once doubted you now follow your blueprint. And still, You don't flinch. You don't perform. You don't leak the power you've built, because it's not about them. It never was. It's about the man you've become and the mission that owns you now. You walk alone not because you have to. You walk alone because it is the most powerful position a man can occupy. From that position, you control the tempo of your life. You set the emotional climate. You decide the meaning of every hour you breathe. From that position, you no longer need permission. You no longer chase inclusion. You no longer dilute your presence to keep others comfortable. From that position, the world doesn't shape you. You shape the world. So yes, you will be misunderstood. Yes, you will be envied. Yes, they will talk. Let them. Because while they whisper your name behind closed doors, you'll be building something behind locked ones. Something sacred. Something silent. Something they'll never get access to unless they evolve themselves to deserve it. And if they don't, they'll just keep whispering. If you've made it to this point and you feel something shifting in your core, then comment this with your chest. I walk alone. I rise in silence. They'll whisper my name. Say it again, like a war cry. I walk alone. I rise in silence. They'll whisper my name. This is Psygrythm. We don't need permission. We don't need a stage. We don't need noise. We vanish. We rise and we return as legends. Now, if this series hit you deep, then it's time to commit. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. This isn't motivation. This isn't mindset. This is Psygrythm, where weakness dies and cold power is born.